Let's now break down for you the most telling images of this war so far. In the last 24 hours, all that's happened using videos that have come to the fore. The first image, this image from Ukraine will give you goosebumps because this video shows a residential building being hit by a rocket while a volunteer was recording a video, which is what you see. He was on a selfie, was saying something when suddenly he looks up. You can hear the sound of a rocket. It goes off and then there's chaos being recorded in that video. Truly tragic. We will try to find out if that volunteer also is doing okay.
Если сбор денег снова.
The Russian onslaught in Zhytomyr has razed buildings in the residential area to the ground. Rescue operations are on. Damage done by the Russian missiles has mostly left the entire area completely flattened. Russian aggression has reached its peak in Kharkiv. The attack has led to, unfortunately, several casualties. These images are from a residential neighborhood. Citizens, civilians have died due to shelling in the area. You can hear the panic in the voice of the person who's shooting this video. Homes completely destroyed. Many people, we're told, have been rendered homeless now. Irpin, a satellite city on the outskirts of Kyiv, has also suffered multiple Russian attacks in the past week. A bridge in the city that connects to the capital of Kyiv was blown up not by Russia but by Ukrainian forces so that Russian troops can't make their way into the city. Defining image number 5, residential area of Irpin again, this one from the same city, which has seen heavy damage with portions of houses completely breaking down and collapsing. Nearby trees have been destroyed. There's smoke coming out of vehicles, parts of buildings reduced to rubble as a result of airstrikes by Russia. Now, when Russian missiles were used to target the city's council building in Kharkiv, it also damaged other government buildings nearby, where rescue operations at this point are still on. There were people in these buildings and they're stuck underneath the debris, which is why now efforts are on to identify and pull out everyone who's stuck. Russia claims they're not targeting civilians, they're only targeting military installations. The reality is completely different. What you see on your screens is the reality of an apartment that's been completely destroyed by Russian shelling. With the Russian offensive on the rise in Kyiv, citizens have left their homes. They're currently taking shelter wherever they feel they're safe. This is underground metro stations, railway stations, very few bomb shelters as well. What you're seeing on your screens is from a metro station in the city, which is transformed into a war shelter with people bringing sleeping bags, mini tents, anything they can to provide for themselves. Now, there have been a lot of questions after exactly what Russia's plan is here. On day 8, reports are coming in that Russian President Vladimir Putin is planning a mega coup in Ukraine. Reports say that Putin wants to make former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych the president of Ukraine once Kyiv falls to Moscow. Yanukovych was ousted in February 2014 following widespread protests over his decision to reject the EU trade deal, which clearly states what his position is, that he's pro-Russia, that he's Kremlin-friendly. Our next report gets you more details of exactly what Putin's coup plan is all about.
He had a reputation of being heavy-handed. He was accused of corruption. His proximity to Moscow was always the talk of the town. Former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, who fled to Russia in 2014, could be preparing for a homecoming. If reports are to be believed, Kremlin is planning to declare Yanukovych the president of Ukraine once Kiev falls to Russia. Who is Viktor Yanukovych? And why is Putin banking on him? The answer lies in the past. Yanukovych was elected as the fourth president of Ukraine in 2010. In 2013, he refused to sign a political and trade agreement with the European Union. This deal was meant to smoothen the trading process between Ukraine and the EU. Instead, Yanukovych took a $15 billion bailout from Russia. What followed was a string of violent clashes. Riots broke out across Kiev that overthrew the Yanukovych government in February 2014. He then made his way to Russia, where he continues to live in exile under the protection of the Kremlin. His previous tenure as elected president of Ukraine makes Yanukovych a viable candidate for Putin. The Russian president may hand over Ukraine's reins to Yanukovych and set up a puppet government. His proximity to Putin means Ukraine will then give up pursuing membership in NATO. With Geeta Mohan in New Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Russia is sending out one warning after another of a nuclear war. This is Russia's third nuke warning in a week. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said now that the Third World War will be nuclear and it will be destructive.
A week into the invasion of Ukraine, Russia is turning up the heat. The Putin administration is not shying away from dangling the nuke threat. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has warned a Third World War would be nuclear and destructive and claims Ukraine will not be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons.
Украина располагает еще советскими ядерными технологиями и средствами доставки такого оружия. Мы не можем не реагировать на эту реальную опасность. Могу вас заверить, Россия, как ответственный член международного сообщества, приверженный своим обязательствам по нераспространению оружия массового уничтожения, предпринимает все необходимые меры для недопущения появления ядерного оружия и соответствующих технологий на Украине.
Several nations have condemned the nuclear threat dropped by Russia.
Russia has raised the alert level of the preparation of the nuclear deterrence units, which is a dangerous act that may lead to further destabilization of the situations.
By enhancing the alert status of its nuclear forces, Russia has taken another escalatory and irresponsible step.
Lavrov's nuclear saber rattling is not the first time Russia has issued such threats. 4 days into the war on Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin had put nuclear deterrent forces on high alert.
Уважаемые коллеги, вы видите, что западные страны предпринимают не только недружественные действия в отношении нашей страны в экономической сфере, я имею в виду нелегитимные санкции, о которых все хорошо знают, но высшие должностные лица ведущих стран НАТО допускают и агрессивные высказывания в адрес нашей страны. Поэтому приказываю министру обороны и начальнику генерального штаба перевести силы сдерживания российской армии в особый режим несения боевого дежурства.
Only the US, Russia and China have intercontinental ballistic missiles, and Russia has many options when it comes to delivery of nuclear weapons. Topol-M is one of the most recent intercontinental ballistic missiles to be deployed by Russia. It is the first to be developed after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The RSM-56 Bulava is a submarine-launched ballistic missile developed for the Russian Navy. It was deployed in 2013 on the new Bore class of nuclear submarines. Kinzhal is a hypersonic cruise missile. It has a claimed range of more than 2,000 kilometers and an ability to perform evasive maneuvers at every stage of its flight. Russia has the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. Moscow has over 6,000 nuclear weapons, 675 more than the United States. Whereas China has 350, Britain 225, France 300 and India 150. As Putin bares his nuclear fangs, the West has responded with calm. The US and allies have so far stuck to sanctions on Russian economy. Bureau Report, India Today.
Ukraine's second biggest city of Kharkiv has seen the worst of Putin's force a week into the invasion. The city from 8 days ago is unrecognizable. Shells, missiles rain over it almost hourly. Russia has been pounding missiles on Kharkiv for the past 100 hours. Russian airstrike hit Kyiv's main television tower as well. This was 2 days ago on Tuesday in the Ukrainian capital. The strike knocked out some state broadcasters but left the structure intact. Kharkiv, meanwhile, has turned into a ghost town. The once bustling city of nearly 15 lakh people is now completely deserted. Most people have moved out amid plumes of smoke rising from buildings that have been completely destroyed in the attacks. There's rubble all over the streets now of Kharkiv. A government building which stood upright just last week was blown to smithereens by a Russian missile on Tuesday. Those images I'm sure you've seen are so powerful and tells you the kind of damage that's being wreaked on the streets of Kharkiv. What remains now are haunting and desolate streets of Kharkiv scattered with debris and ongoing efforts to rescue civilians from affected areas. The architecture of the city was demolished and razed down by Russian attacks. The city's Stalinist Empire architecture style has been replaced by what remains of the charred leftovers of the infrastructure. Let's also tell you what's playing out between the government in Russia and Ukraine. There's a war of words between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Speaking to an American broadcaster, Ukraine President Zelensky lambasted Putin for the missile attacks on major Ukrainian cities. Zelensky's alleged that the Russian president wants to erase Ukraine from the map. He's also said that the assault proves that Putin has no humanity left. Zelensky said that only time will tell if peace talks between Russia and Ukraine are worth the time.